Good morning. This is Hazel Combs, the Community Early Childhood Coordinator. Thank you all for joining me for the webinar on the request for application for 2016 and 17. We will have an opportunity to answer any questions you may have as we go over the slides and the content. So our overall priority has not changed. Our main priority has been, continues to be, since the inception of Kids Now, is making sure our children are kindergarten ready. And that's defined as every child enters schools ready to engage in and benefit from early learning experiences that best promote the child's early success. So you need to ask yourself as a council, how do you mobilize your community to engage in kindergarten readiness? And how do you reach out to parents and kids who are not in an organized program currently? Our funding source has always been the tobacco dollars, the Master Tobacco Settlement, and Kids Now was conceived, and the inception was in the year 2000. So, our focus for this year's funding is we are much more narrow in our focus than prior years due to the rollout of Kentucky All-Stars in July of this year. We're redirecting the work of the councils. Kentucky All-Stars has lots of technical assistance, lots of training, and there's a reward system in place to assist with the improvement in quality in the early learning environment. So we did not want to replicate or be redundant in our focus, so the CECCs will be expected to expand their membership to actively engage the business community, your local government, and any other partners that are not at the table currently. You're going to be asked in your grant application to demonstrate how you have broadened your scope or how you plan to broaden your scope in your community. The focus will be on finding and reaching the 40% of children in families that are not in an early child care setting and interacting with those families in an educational and intentional manner to promote school readiness. I'm going to point out a few things I want you to remember when you go to fill out your application. If we receive multiple applications from overlapping geographic areas, all of those applications will be disqualified. We still cannot purchase food with grant funding, but I have to say I've been to some events, and I have to give a shout out because councils have been very innovative in getting donations for their community. All members of the council are volunteers, and they cannot receive any compensation for their service on the council. I have an asterisk there because this is the National Volunteer Week, and I would be remiss if I did not thank you for the work you do in making a huge difference in the lives of children in Kentucky, and thank you for that. Please review all the restrictions in the grant and the allowable items to make sure you're clear as to what your council can and cannot do. If your application does not meet all the required components, you will not be eligible for funding. You will receive a written notice that you have been disqualified. Check all your application prior to submission. Make sure you've got all your required components. Our goal is to give everyone funding, but we have to make sure that you're in compliance with what we have requested. So, some dates to remember. The intent to apply is due April 15th by 4 p.m. The application is to be on our website April 15th by 8:30. All applications must be submitted by Dropbox and an original copy postmarked by May 16th, 2016, close of business. That is when your RFA is due. It must be by May 16th. You will be notified if your application does not have all the required components, and you will not be eligible for funding. The review process will begin upon establishment of all required components. I'll look at every one of them, make sure you've met what we need, and then we have a target date to notify Tier 1 awardees by July 1, 2016. That's a goal. That's not set in stone, y'all. All other tiers will be notified in sequential order. There are 2 required reports for CECC funding. By statute, you are required to submit no later than 30 days after the close of the fiscal year a detailed report of expenditure, summary of your project, and reflect your success or if things didn't work. That we are saying by August 1, 2016, your annual report is due. Please send those to me at hazel.combs@ky.gov. If you do not submit that annual report by August 1st, and that's for this grant cycle, y'all, if you do not submit that, your money will be delayed. We have added a mid-year report this time, and it's due January 15, 2017, and this report mirrors the annual report. It just tells us where you are in the grant cycle. What have you spent to date? And that's what we're looking for, is a detailed analysis of where you are and where you think you should be. All right, so the request for application, the required components, you need to list all the members of all school districts. Like if you're in Northern Kentucky in particular, you have a lot of independent school districts. You need to tell us all of your school districts. No, you do not have to include parochial or private schools. All your Head Starts and your child care representative. So the question has been asked, do I have to submit a letter of commitment? The letter of commitment needs to come from the superintendent of the school district, and if there's multiple school districts, the superintendent for all of those districts must submit a letter of support. They do not have to be sitting on the council, but they have to be aware of the council's activity and appoint someone to sit on the council and show their commitment. You have to have a letter from Early Head Start, Child Care, and the school district. I need to have completed conflict of interest forms. Those will be online as part of the appendix, and all the online templates must be completed. So you're saying just get to the bottom line. What are we looking at this year? So as last year, the MOU must be signed by the chair, the CECC chair, and the fiscal agent. To be eligible for funding, you must submit that final report that I spoke of previously by August 1, 2016. There will be no funding for mini grants this year. Monies are to be set aside for 2 members to attend an annual CECC training. That may be Ready Kids next year. It may be something just for CECCs. We haven't made that decision. The focus of this year's funding is community mobilization and supporting families that do not have children in an organized child care setting, emphasizing the value of school readiness. Plans that include an integrated strategy of how you're going to accomplish broadening the net. You need to develop your strategy, you need to implement your plan, and you need to measure your outcomes. Council staff are, again, to be clearly delineated, and they are not to be voting members. You need to let us know if your council is a 501c3 entity. We have added a section in the application that clarifies the role of the CECC chair as it relates to the application process. Every CECC shall submit a communication plan. And to back that up, we need your website addresses so we can look at those communication plans. A paper copy and an electronic copy of the application and supporting documents are to be submitted via a Dropbox account. So, what should you expect? You need to, as a council, sit down and define what your need is. What do you hope to change in your community with your grant? In your area. And again, only your council can answer that question, looking at the perimeters of what you can and cannot do. Describe what you want to achieve, how you're going to measure your success, and, you know, if you've had something that hasn't worked in the past, how would you change that if you want to keep that activity? Study the RFA and then write your proposal. So, how well have you explained for the reviewer what you want to do, who's going to benefit, and how you're going to measure that outcome? Remember, if you don't measure it, it won't get done. How will you improve outcomes? What are the needs? And how will you support school readiness in your community? How do you plan to involve your CECC members? What partnerships have you identified? And how are the roles defined? Do you have everybody at the table that you need? And if not, get those folks to the table. And how are you all going to move the needle on kindergarten readiness in your community? So here's the elements of a communication plan. I know many of you all have Facebook pages. I know some of you all use Twitter. I got to give a shout out to Pulaski County, who has made an advertisement, and they play it during the movie, before the movie starts. There are people who have talked about using billboards. There's all kinds of ways to craft your communication. We've helped you with using our brand, and we've provided you. Every CECC should have their own logo. If not, let us know, and we can get that to you. But, you know, we want to be on target and on brand. So one of the things we pass out to you all is our monthly message. And I'm going to let Natori in our office talk about the monthly message, and she's also going to walk you through Dropbox. So I'm going to hand you off to Natori.
All right. Well, first, just want to thank you all already for your efforts to spread these monthly messages to families in your community. So every month we create a message on a topic that is focused on kindergarten readiness. So we can either touch on the 5 domains or a way to even build a protective factor that's part of our Kentucky Strengthening Families framework. So every month you should be receiving an e-newsletter with a link to view the monthly message. And we just ask that you really help us get these into the hands of families. They are really short, 1 to 2 pages, and every issue includes tips that they can do in the home. So if you could please share this via Facebook or Twitter. I know a lot of you are amazing at sharing this on Facebook. Thank you so much. And we also want to encourage you to think outside the box and enroll some of local child care centers into this mailing list. So anyone can sign up to receive these monthly messages via email by going to kidsnow.ky.gov, and at the very bottom of our homepage there's a link that says subscribe to our email list. And I think it's a great tool to really encourage even child care centers to print this out and give it to families. I know my daughter's child care actually prints them out and gives it to us once a month as part of along with our child's daily report, which was really a great innovative way to get that in the hands of families. So continue to share that out for us, please. I want to next go over the steps of completing the RFA and talk about how to use Dropbox. So on Friday, April 15th, you will be able to see that the RFA has been posted on our website, as well as the appendix for the RFA. And this is the page where you can find it. It's under the For Communities tab on our website. And you'll first want to go ahead and download that and complete it before moving on to the step of sending it via Dropbox. So Dropbox is an online program that lets you share large files, and it's free. So it's a really great tool, and it is the only way that we are going to be accepting RFAs this year. So if you do not already have an account, we ask that you go to Dropbox.com, and on your screen you'll see a circle around the button that says sign up for free. You want to click that, and all it'll ask is for your first name, last name, an email address, and a password, and that you agree to the terms. So if you already have an account, you'll see on the homepage in the top right-hand corner there's a link that says sign in, and that's what you'd want to click and sign in. In case you've not used your Dropbox account since last year's RFA, there is a forgot password feature that will send it to the email address you signed up with in case you've forgotten your password. Once you sign up for an account, if you're new and creating an account, this is the next screen that you'll see. And this is optional. You do not have to do this, but it is a recommended step if you do plan to use Dropbox, even for other activities within your work. What this option is it'll let you download Dropbox onto your computer, and basically what it does is it creates a folder on your computer where you can save the files. And the good thing about saving the files there is that it immediately syncs it to your Dropbox account. So this is what the folder would look like once it's downloaded on your computer, as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. But like I said, that is an optional step, and you do not have to do that. I will just go ahead, since it is optional, I'm going to go ahead and show you the steps of uploading your files without having to go through the step of downloading Dropbox on your computer. So once you're actually in Dropbox, this is the landing page, and you'll see that at the top right-hand section there's a folder that has a plus sign, and we're asking that you please share a folder with us. And within that folder, there'll be the appendix for the RFA as well as the RFA. And this is our preferred system, as opposed to having you attach two separate files and sending us two links. So it's really important that you click that folder with the plus sign instead of the document-looking icon that has the plus sign. Once you do that, it will ask you to name the folder. Something to help us on our end is if you'd go ahead and just name it the name of your county. So, for example, I use Fayette County CECC RFA, and that'll just help us keep track of the applications that we are receiving. Once you've named it, you'll want to click that folder, and it'll take you to this screen, and you'll see that it says this folder is empty. And so this is now the step where you are going to upload your two documents. And this time, you'll click the icon that looks like a piece of paper and has that plus sign. And once you do that, it'll ask you to find the files that you want to upload. So you'll go to the folder wherever it is that you had it saved on your computer or your flash drive and select those files. If you'd like to upload more than one file at a time, a quick trick is just to hold down the Control key on your keyboard and click the two files, and then hit that open button, and it'll upload both files simultaneously. Once the upload is complete, this is the screen you'll see. It'll turn to a green shade, and there'll be a Done button. Once you hit Done, it'll take you back to your folder, and now you should see that there are two documents within your folder. Now, the last step is just to share this link for us to access your folder. So you'll select that link icon in the top right-hand corner, and you'll see either one of these two screens. If you just created a Dropbox account and had not gone to check your email account and verified this email address, you will see the dialog box that's shown on the left-hand side. Dropbox has to have you verify your email account before you can begin sharing. So all you have to do is just go to your email account that you signed up with. You should have an email that asks you to click to verify it, and once you do that step, you can now go back into Dropbox and it will let you share. If you'd already verified your link or you already had a Dropbox account, then you will not see that dialog box. You'll see the one that's shown on the right-hand side of this page, and all we ask is that you'd go ahead and type in Ashley Westman's email address. She's the person who will be receiving these links in our office. So you'll just type it in, and you can hit that send button. If for some reason you wanted to have a link to this folder to share with maybe other members on your council, or you needed to send us an email with that link, then you'll just want to copy that URL that you see there. Once you hit send, then we'll get a notification, and we'll begin to review your RFA. If you have any questions, please email Hazel, and she can send them my way to help you troubleshoot any problems you may encounter. here's Hazel to finish it on.
Thank you, Natori. So, again, when it comes to Dropbox, if I can do it, anybody can do it, folks. So, this page talks about, this is what our reviewers look at, and it's not a surprise or a secret. This is what you need to look at when you are putting your plan together. You need to be very specific and make sure you cover all of these topics, and it's very clear to someone who is not on your council but who is an independent reviewer that you've covered all of these areas. So, questions, concerns, or comments? If you have any questions, you are welcome to email me at hazel.combs@ky.gov. Spoiler alert, I will be on vacation the week of April 18th through the 22nd, and I will be out the afternoon of April 15th. So if you need me while I'm on vacation, I'm going to try to sneak in the bathroom and look at my email like once a day outside of my husband's sightline. So I'll try to get back to you. A couple of other items, and this relates to funding right now. You have a requirement to have 2 people at Ready Kids. Do not think we're not going to notice if you're not there. So I need everybody to make sure you have 2 representatives at Ready Kids that you're paying for with your grant monies. I also need a volunteer or a series of volunteers to present with me on Tuesday afternoon of Ready Kids, and that will be on best practices. And what I do is I pretty much just showcase, I turn it over to my co-presenters and let them talk about what they're doing. And we have so many great things going on out there that there's just tons of people who I could call on, but I want you all to volunteer. I want you to be excited about the opportunity to share. So that's going to be the middle day of Ready Kids, the 12th, in the afternoon.